From the BBC, the Smart Motorway campaigner, Claire Mercer, has written to the new Transport Secretary, Heidi Alexander, asking her to admit that smart motorways are, in Claire's words, madness. It comes after the previous Transport Minister and Sheffield MP Louise Haigh resigned after it emerged she pleaded guilty to a fraud offence a decade ago. I caught up with Claire early today and I asked her to sum up what she'd asked for in the letter to the new secretary.
Well, I finished the letter by saying, please be the one that admits that smart motorways are madness and does something about it. Because this is your watch now and the buck stops with you. Because up to now, people say they know they're madness, but they never do anything about them.
Well, the situation that we're in is they've said they're not going to make any more, haven't they? They've said that they know they're wrong, but the ones that we've got, we're going to stick with.
Yes, and anything that was even in design stage when they made that announcement about 18 months ago now was also considered substantially complete. So that is still continuing. So there's still, with that and the retrofitting of extra refuge areas, there's still an awful lot of roadworks going on and planned for years. And there's something like £980 million of taxpayers' money earmarked for this. And it would be so much cheaper to just switch the first lane off and we've got our hard shoulder back.
So you've been at this campaign for a long time. Why did you feel the need to write the letter now?
Well, partly because it's been so long. This is now going to be my fifth Christmas without Jason. And in some ways, it feels like another lifetime. And in other ways, it feels like yesterday that I last saw him. So it's just things like this, they make you sit down and think about it. And then because I really struggled to get Louise Haigh to even acknowledge me. In fact, I don't think she actually did even acknowledge me. And when she lives 5 miles down the road from me, that was very disappointing. So I wanted to start off on the right foot with this new Secretary of State, because we've now had 5 in the 5 years that I've been campaigning. And every time we get a new Secretary of State for Transport, the clock resets and I have to start again from the beginning, not just with my campaign, but also with the legal case. I've had a legal case against the government going for 5 years now, and we still haven't got a court date.
Have you heard yet from Heidi Alexander?
No. I've received an acknowledgement to the letter. I sent a letter attached to an email, and I've had a confirmation that they've received it, but that is literally just an auto confirmation.
We've had a statement today, says the Secretary of State takes the safety of all our roads extremely seriously, and our thoughts remain with Miss Mercer. We've been clear that we will not roll out any new smart motorways and will deliver a comprehensive new road safety strategy, the first in over a decade, to reduce tragic deaths and injuries on our roads. We will share more details in due course. What do you make to that, Claire? It's
what I've heard for 5 years. In my letter, I also said, please don't use the same platitudes that National Highways and Department for Transport always use. You know, if you actually had to live with a road death, and a completely unnecessary road death at that, then you'd actually do something about this rather than just rolling out the platitudes. But I've had in due course for 5 years, we've had reviews, stock takes, ombudsman, parliamentary transport select committees, evidence hearings. We must have had 30 plus different occasions where highly paid people have sat down at the taxpayers' expense and talked about smart motorways. And that's all we've had for over 5 years, and nobody has ever done anything meaningful about them.
Of course, we know you, Claire, as a campaigner, unfortunately, and that's what everybody knows knows about you. This, of course, as you mentioned, if you have to live with this situation, it's very difficult. You know, in the real world, you lost Jason 5 years ago. It must be an awful time of year.
It is. It's very difficult, and you cannot believe the effect that grief actually has on you. It has completely changed me as a person. I am passionate and I am tenacious, yes, but I am anxious, I'm disorganised, I'm forgetful, I'm not well. Apparently, it's a known phenomenon that widows basically get more ill, and that is certainly true in my case. And and I came out of it better than Jason. Of course, Jason lost his life. Jason lost absolutely everything. It just derailed my future. That's all this did. And I'm just one of the people left from these statistics. And it's well over 100 people now that we know have been killed by just the lack of hard shoulder. This isn't even including the faulty technology and the lack of education on these things. That is literally just the missing hard shoulder. And it's going to continue to happen.
What's 2025 going to bring for you?
Sounds like more campaigning, because I'm not stopping. I'm not going to stop until we've got the hard shoulder back on every single motorway. So as long as they keep holding out. And why are they holding out? The smart motorways would be a very unique thing. They would be a welcome budget cut. The government keeps telling us they're having to make hard decisions. This would not be a hard decision, and nobody would criticise them for scrapping smart motorways. So why are they digging in? Why will they not scrap smart motorways? We're skint and no one wants them, so why won't they scrap them?
Claire, I hope you have a peaceful Christmas. Thanks very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
That's Claire Mercer there from Rotherham. I've interviewed Claire a lot over the last 5 years. I often tell her that I wish I'd never met her, because obviously I've only met her because of the tragedy that befell her and her family. But she never stops, does she? I mean, she's the kind of person you want in your corner, isn't she? Whether you agree with her campaign or not is completely up to you. That's not what I'm talking about. She just never, ever stops. Claire Mercer there, talking about the fact that she's been to Heidi Alexander about the smart motorways. The motorways where there is no hard shoulder.
Ellie Colton